So there's something I really need to go over here. So my right to an education was totally violated in New Mexico, in Maine, and then when I was in Mass. Now, this is the time when I first was big in the Yu-Gi-Oh! I must have been like 11, 12 years old. One of my classmates asked my parents to adopt him. I was really young. I only spent a year there. Very small school. Very, very small. Maybe 12 kids to a class. But there was no class for my class. The teacher would come in and leave. And then we'd play Yu-Gi-Oh! All day for the entire year. Once in a while, we'd go wiffle bat. We'd get to go outside and play wiffle bat. We'd go upstairs to eat lunch for an hour, and that's it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Card games. Some kids would bring in chess sets or whatever the hell they had. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the big one, and everybody put me in charge of the class. The teacher basically would be like, Zach, you're in charge. Bye-bye. I mean, there was nothing she had to do. All the kids were under control, and I had them all playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Or trading, or they were arguing about a bad trade, and I would tell them, okay, here you go. You both get good cards, now shut up. Or, you know what? Trade back, and I'll give you this. Or whatever. I was always diffusing situations. There was one time where we did a circle and we told our backstories, but it was never any real classes. Never. One time the teacher asked if I could, have them try to read the cards, and I could work with them. So I liked that idea. I wanted to learn how to read the cards. Most of us couldn't read the cards we were playing with, and we're making up our own rules for the entire year. So the teacher had me ask. Nobody liked it. They all jumped down my throat. The teacher said, okay, that doesn't work, and left the room. We never got to read the cards. There was no classes for an entire year. This was a scam school. It was to take money. Now, the class across the hall, the older kids that were 2, 3 years older, they did get classes. And actually, no, maybe they were only a year older, 1 to 2 years older, but they had a male, and that was their room all day long. We had our room all day. That was their room all day. Now, all I know is that they had math. I don't know anything else. I used to sneak in to try to be part of it, and they wouldn't allow me. They said that I had to go back to the other room. And I really did like that room because I had a friend in there. Now, that friend asked my parents to adopt him. Now, that friend I ended up re-meeting in high school. That's the funniest part. When I went to high school, I ended up running into that same kid. Now, at least he got to go to some real classes. My room was a year younger, or maybe 2 years younger. I mean, we were some of those kids look much older than us, so maybe 2 more years younger, I would say. Yeah, because the kid I went to high school with, I think, was a year or two ahead of me. So that would make sense, because he was in a different room. Anyways, our room had no classes. And this was at least fourth, fifth grade, right after middle school. Yeah, this would be after middle school. No, maybe not. No, before middle school. Yeah, because I went to Chelmsford High for middle school. And this was right when we moved to Chelmsford. Right when we moved to Chelmsford, I took a small bus, and they brought me to this brick building, and it was really small. Really, really small. And this wasn't any of the other types. It wasn't like, maybe it was one of the MECs, Merrimack Special Education Collaborative. Maybe it was some like really, really young version of that. But I was at least 12. I definitely wasn't as old as 13. I doubt I was 13. This must have been really, really young. Anyways, this is when I was first in the Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was really, really young. But I was old enough to be learning basic math. I mean, when we were in Texas, I was learning addition, subtraction. Then I just lost a bunch of education, just complete Twilight Zone. I don't remember division, none of that. I mean, there was no real classes. I was learning how to read in New Mexico and with no teachers available. Literally having other older kids sit with me trying to help me. That's it. maybe a staff member who has no degree in teaching would come over and try to teach me how to read. And it did help. And I was really wanting to learn stuff, so it did help. But it was really hard for me missing all those chunks of education, just missing chunks. Now, in Texas, they did have a good reading program. They did try to teach me addition and subtraction. And if we stayed in Texas next year, I would have learned division and multiplication. But then we went to New Mexico, at least I did. I got sent there, and my parents got to see me 1 hour a month for 18 months. I spent most of my time wandering the woods. During winter, I spent most of my time curled up in back of a tree or indoors sipping hot chocolate, shaking. It just was terrible. But 9 months out of the year, I was wandering the woods, and that was very interesting. They even had a woods bug book where I was able to look at bugs, and then I would look at the country. I'd look at where they are located on a map because I had a little map. I loved that bug book. Oh, yes, I did, because I would walk through the woods finding rare New Mexican bugs. Oh, I found this big centipede. There was a giant tarantula that a bunch of us kept on finding. One of the kids got a fang through the finger. We thought we found a lizard hold, but then I threw, or actually the other guy to my right threw a cricket. I didn't have to throw any cricket this time. Thank God. I hated doing that. They used to rip off the legs, throw the cricket in, or just throw it in, but sometimes it would bounce away. But anyways, they threw it in, and a big hairy arm pulled it to them. Okay, so that's not a lizard hole, but one of the kids decided to stick his hand and pull a lizard out. We all laughed because there's no lizard in there. He stuck his hand in, got bit. Of course, we throw more in. It was a big giant tarantula. Pretty cool stuff. But not division, subtraction, not multiplication, not reading skills. So yes, I have had I had my right to education taken away. Absolutely. No education. But this was done on purpose. My mother absolutely did not want anybody to find out about the overdose, because before we moved to Texas, the doctors were talking about my coordination issue. And I was talking about the night where my mom gave me meds and I lost my sight. I lost the ability to walk. I couldn't feel the carpet. I was talking about that, and doctors were asking me about it. And teachers, they noticed a sudden change in me in Westford as well. 1 minute I'm one way, and then all of a sudden I look a different way with my body. I didn't notice this, but the teachers did, and they pulled me in the hallway asking about it, saying they were going to call home. As an adult, I can take these memories, some of them PTSD, some of them good, and you can put it together, and it's very clear. I mean, come on. I'm missing chunks of education, big, giant chunks of education. Of course, I'm going to be slower than the other kids on go. I don't even know. It's all gibberish to me. This is my first book. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm missing years here. And then when we finally moved to Massachusetts, and I'm supposed to be in a school, I go to one school where for a whole year I play Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and we can't even read them or play them properly. Thank God I was eventually left that school, and it was only a year. Well, I guess if I wasn't there more than a year, I would have gone to the other class where there was real classes, I guess. But I know there should have been classes, because all the way back in Texas, I was doing addition and subtraction. So, something's wrong if I go from addition to subtraction to playing Yu-Gi-Oh for a year. Okay, and that's like 3 years after Texas. Or sorry, let me see, 18 months New Mexico, 4 years after Texas. So there has to be something better than that.